Thank you for joining us for our 2021 State of the Program. This is the fifth year of doing this, and it really technically should be our sixth year, but last year COVID hit and we actually didn't get to do one in 2020, and so things got a little crazy for us between assessments and then a global pandemic. So we have the numbers and stats from last year, but we didn't get to share them. But we've been recording and doing these since about 2015, and it's really interesting to look back and see the historical data that is collected. There's a couple different data sets that we use for our State of the Program webinar. First is that we look at the cumulative impact of your monthly economic reports that you guys submit to us each month through our community activity report system. And we look at that cumulative impact and kind of interpret that data for you. And then secondly, we ask that all of our communities, regardless of their designation, complete for us an annual survey. We call it the annual manager's salary survey, something to that effect. And it's a good way for us to get updated contact information, to get a feel for what's happening in your community, and also to be able to identify trends from year to year. And so we ask each year, you'll notice we ask similar sets of questions from year to year. We may change it up a little bit, but honestly, the reason why we ask those same questions is, again, so that we can notice those trends and be able to identify changes in our programs and changes to the system as a whole. So that's where this information is coming from. So here's the stuff we're going to focus on this morning. Hold on, I'm going to minimize my little thing. All right. So I'm going to do some team introductions to get us started. We're going to talk about some of the new projects that my team is working on this year and some of the trainings. Again, we'll go over our it should be 2020 impact. And then I'm going to do a little bit of a deep dive into COVID and what that impact result was. We're going to go through the manager surveys, and then we have a new designated Main Street city we're going to announce today, and then going to talk about the upcoming Main Street Now conference. So I thought it was important since we didn't get the opportunity to do this last year, and we have new managers on board, and also the dynamics of our team have changed, right? We had a design studio that had to close. We lost a team member and some support staff, and I felt like this is time for us to do a little refresh and reintroduce ourselves. So again, this is me. My name is Jessica Reynolds. I'm the director of the Office of Downtown Development and Georgia Main Streets. So we are with the Georgia Department of Community Affairs, and the office that we work in is the Office of Downtown Development. And one of the primary programs that we do and manage as an office is the Georgia Main Street program. But also, I think it's important to note that we work with communities all across the state, regardless of their Main Street designation. So while Main Street is our primary focus, we also work with downtown development authorities and other downtown districts in the state of Georgia who just need help and may just need some assistance or guidance in how to raise themselves up or be the best community or version of themselves possible. So we do work with everybody. I am EDFP certified. That stands for Economic Development Finance Professional, and I'm certified to teach John Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership. If you have had the pleasure of going through our 5 levels of leadership class, it really is quite incredible. In 2020, we had to do kind of a modified version of it because obviously COVID. But traditionally, it's a 2-day class. We get together and we do some really deep dives. One of the things that I love the most about John Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership is that it doesn't just focus on the whole, why am I the way I am, and how do I become a better person? I mean, like that's always part of it, right? But the reason I think it makes so much sense and connects so much back to what we're doing in Main Street is that it's really about how do I work with other people. So how do I work with partners? Maybe that partnership is in the board, maybe that's with elected officials, maybe that's with volunteers, maybe that's with business owners, but it really is about how you impact, influence, and work with other people in your community and that have a connection to you. And I think that's so important in what we do. Prior to coming to the state, I was the Main Street manager for the city of Carrollton for 5 years, and then I've worked here at DCA since 2013, and I've been the director of this office since 2015. And other than talking about leadership stuff, one of the things that I enjoy most is assisting programs with organizational and board development. So that's really, some people think that's like the boring foundational stuff. That's where I really thrive and love being able to help build that foundation for communities and help them think through problems and challenges and figure out the best way to help them set up their program and to organize their program, because as you guys know, everybody's a little bit different, right? Every community is a little bit different. How they operate is a little bit different. And for me, it's almost like looking at a puzzle and figuring out, okay, how do we put all these pieces together so that way we get the right combination and the right formula to support the community. Also, when I'm introducing the team here, you're going to see a little fun fact at the bottom. And I went back and forth on what to do. I originally had something down here about my cat Jules, because I will tell you I prefer email to phone, because if you call me, you are going to talk to my very vocal and nosy cat who always has to be a part of the conversation. I had to basically like lock her out of the room to keep her quiet. But one of the fun facts is that I can rap all the lyrics to the song Satisfied from the musical Hamilton. And then yesterday, Elizabeth told me that that wasn't a fun fact because can't everybody do that? And I disagree. I don't think everybody can do it. But that's just one of those, fun little things. Tess Harper, our beautiful communications and training coordinator. If you haven't had the pleasure of meeting her, Tess is based in Macon. She is a former Macon Main Street board member and received the Georgia Downtown Association's Board Member of the Year award in 2014. Tess has been with our office, oh my gosh, Tess, I can't remember now. 3-4 years. And she really, if you've had the pleasure of working with her and meeting with her, she's so creative. And she is the person who is behind all the incredible graphics that we do, the videos that we release and shoot, the newsletters that come out weekly, anything communication wise that's coming from our team that's coming out, everything runs through Tess first. And she really enjoys assisting programs with marketing and branding. Fun fact about Tess, she is the Queen of Macon, and she had the opportunity to play host to Burt Reynolds when he was there several years back. She would never tell you this, but he instantly fell in love with her, and because she's incredible. And she was like, "Oh, that's nice. I have a boyfriend." But that was a really awesome experience, and Macon has such a rich history, a musical history, and it's just a fun story. If you ever get a chance to just chitty chat with Tess, make her tell you the story about the time she played host to Burt Reynolds. Elizabeth Elliott is our Downtown Development Historic Preservation Planner. Elizabeth is also EDFP certified, and she has Historic Preservation master's work completed. She is a former Main Street manager in the city of Washington. If you guys aren't familiar with Washington, Georgia here, it's a small community, 4,000 in population, 10,000 in the county. So she really loves advocating for small rural communities. She brings that perspective to us every single week when we have our weekly touch base phone calls. She is the first person you're going to meet and talk to if you are a new manager or a new program. She is going to be that person who's going to guide you through that entire process. And I will say that Elizabeth's parents were teachers. She inherits that naturally. She loves working with managers one-on-one, being able to help guide you through those efforts. And she is also our compliance girl. She's going to keep us all straight and make sure that everybody is turned in everything they need to do. And I will say she also keeps us straight as an office. She is our to-do girl, our taskmaster, and helps to make sure that we stay focused on all the right projects. And fun fact, today is her birthday. So happy birthday, Elizabeth. We're so excited to have you as part of the team. And happy birthday. Tara Bradshaw is our Economic Development Specialist. Tara is also EDFP certified and a Senior Georgia Downtown Development Professional. That certification comes through the Georgia Downtown Association. She is the former Executive Director of the Dublin Main Street Program / Downtown Development Authority, and she enjoys assisting communities with project development and facilitating private-public partnerships. Tara is an amazing resource. And the reason we're kind of going into each of us and our roles and what we like to do, the reality is we're all kind of a jack of all trades. We have to know a little bit of everything, enough to be dangerous. But I also want you to know who you can reach out to about different stuff. Tara is such a great resource if you have a Downtown Development Authority question, if you're a DDA and you want to, move more into the economic development realm and you're not sure the first steps, what are the steps you need to take? How do you do that? If you need help with a project, if you need some one-on-one coaching, Tara is an incredible resource for that. Fun fact, she loves pasta grannies. That is her favorite YouTube and Insta account. I did not know this was a thing until Tara told me, but now that I know, I'm obsessed. And she loves trying out fresh pasta recipes on her family. Tara and her family are still based in Dublin. And then last but not least, we have Carmen Fischetti, our downtown design specialist. Carmen is a licensed landscape architect. He has worked with Georgia Main Streets for 20 years, y'all. He started when he was just a baby. He is so incredible. I can't imagine not having him on our team. He is such a resource for us, such a wealth of information. He enjoys working on downtown buildings, urban designs, and greenscape projects. And fun fact, his cousin was the guitarist for Sonic Youth. Yep, true story. And the reason I saved Carmine for last, best for last, is that one of the things that we got the most feedback on in our manager survey, as far as weaknesses or things that you're not happy about, is the design studio closing. And let me tell you, we're not happy about it either, but we also know that this is the reality and the world we live in and we have to move forward. But with that being said, while the studio is closed and we're nowhere near able to manage the capacity that we were before, we are still doing some design work in some projects. So we have on the website, and I'll show you in a second, in the services section, a design initial project assessment form that you can fill out if you would like to work with Carmine on some work. Again, he's also available just for some consults and just to help walk you through projects as well. Carmine's also working with the Georgia Municipal Association and Georgia Cities Foundation on their placemaking collaborative. He's one of their facilitators, and he's now working on a really cool project in Plains, Georgia, with President Carter and their legacy that they're working on establishing for making that a historical site once the Carters pass away. So again, we've branched out, and Carmine's doing a little bit different stuff and more than he was originally doing when we had the design studio, but we are still doing some design work. We're just being a little bit more picky about the projects because obviously we just don't have the time and resources to do all that we've done before, but we still are here to help if it's the right project and it's the right fit. And if you're asking yourself, is this the right project? Is this the right fit? Obviously reach out to us, talk to us about it. But what I would say is, we're looking to help projects that are really happening and moving forward, right? So not just pie in the sky, I would like to see this happen in 20 years stuff, but things that really need help, a vision, a direction to move forward and to be guided in that right way. But again, reach out to us. Don't hesitate. If anything, if we can't help you, then maybe we can help point you in the right direction towards some other resources. And with that being said, on our website, we will be doing a little bit of a refresh coming up, but our services section used to talk about our design services. Well, now if you go to services and click on that, you'll see our services. That's where you're going to click on, and it's going to talk about all the new technical assistance stuff that we're rolling out. You also see here, request a design quote and a facilitation request form, which is something new. So again, talking about that, if you want a quote to see if we can work on a project with you, fill out that form. You can just click that button right there and you'll be good to go. So let's scroll down a little bit. Technical assistance, we wanted to really highlight our abilities as an office and ways that we can help assist you. First and foremost, the design and site planning. And again, that's Carmine's, neck of the woods. I'm not going to be doing any site planning for you, no worries. But you can also click that initial project assessment application to begin that process to see if that's something we can help you with. Project coaching. This is what I was talking about with Tara. She's been able to do this for several managers across the state. But sometimes you just need a little one-on-one guidance. Maybe it's with a specific project, maybe it's with a challenge or something that you're doing in your community. Maybe you need help identifying some key resources or partners. This is something we do for free. This is something we'll do for you. But I know that we haven't always been great in the past about communicating what we can do and how we can provide those resources. But we are here to do this. Tara's been working with Monica in Cordele on a certain project that they've been tackling. And so again, we are here to assist you through that process. If this is something that you have a project, or if you have something that you would like maybe some one-on-one coaching in, and you want to work with us a little bit more closely, we're not charging for this. We're not asking an extra fee or anything. But you do need to reach out to us. So I can make sure that I put you in touch with the right person on our team who has the most experience and technical background and expertise in that area. And again, so that we can kind of set up a plan to work with you on it. And then you'll see capacity building and meeting facilitation. We have really shied away from this in the past because there's been a lot of other resources out there. But we realize that some of those resources have kind of changed and evolved, and people are needing a little bit more help. And in the virtual world that we're in right now, we've been able to do this some. And so, we're hoping that once, I keep saying when things return to normal, I don't know if they'll ever be normal, but when things return to us being out in the world more normally, we would like to be able to do this more often. Again, you'll see on this page right here at the top, that facilitation request form. It's the same as like if you were gonna, scope out what a design project would be. You would fill out that form, tell us, when your meeting is, some alternative dates and times, what you're looking for, and we'll see if we can be able to help make that work for you. Marketing and storytelling technical assistance. Again, we have some incredible team members that have great backgrounds and expertise in this. Maybe you need someone to help you develop a social media strategy. Maybe you need help with someone looking at your communication efforts and figuring out how you can streamline it and make it make your voice heard louder and better, more effectively, more efficiently. This is something that we can help guide you through and assist you with. So again, reach out to us at that general email address if you need help. And then compliance assistance and accreditation support. We are here to be your advocates with the National Main Street Center. Our goal is to make sure that you guys are ready and fully prepared every year for the annual assessment process, to guide you through that, to make sure that you have the support that you need. If you ever feel like you're unsure of something or unaware of it or not exactly sure what to do or how to do it, please don't ever hesitate to reach out to us. It's our job to help make you feel ready for this and to get you prepared and on the right path and right track. And then last but not least, access to the Main Street Network and shared resources. We have an incredible resource library that we're going to continue to build up. And, I always like to say that one of the best reasons for being, a Main Street manager, being in the Main Street Network, is access to the network and being able to rip off and duplicate from each other, to learn from each other, to be able to interact with managers from all over the state and all over the nation too. So I know that, we're in a different world right now, and for us, we're not out traveling regularly. We still are doing things virtually. and we're not in all our communities, but again, we need projects to work on just as you guys do back at home. And so I want to really kind of just take a minute to talk you through some of the things that we're working on over the next 6 months. We're going to do a little bit of a website update and refresh, coming through with a fine-tooth comb, making sure that everybody's contact information is up to date, that we have the most up-to-date resources there, and really just making sure that, it's living up to, its name and its ability to help serve you. We will be doing a Main Street 101 refresh. Don't freak out. I'm not changing everything. It's not like it's, you're going to have to learn a whole new thing over and over. It's just one of those things that when we built the system, we knew that we would need to update it probably every couple years. And it's been 3 going on 4 years since we've given it a refresh. There's things on there like the design studio, again, that just aren't relevant anymore. And I just want to make sure that, again, that the information that we're teaching our new managers and our new board members is accurate and up to date. So we'll be tweaking that. Again, no worries. It's not going to, we're not completely changing the whole process. It'll be similar content to what's there now. And we'll walk y'all through that once it's complete. And then one of the projects we're working on with our new friends that have come over from DNR, the State Historic Preservation Office, which, if you did not know, they joined us last July and have officially moved into DCA as of December. But SHPO, again, the State Historic Preservation Office, is now on the same floor as us at DCA, and we are going to be working with them on a new design and preservation publication. So some of you managers who have been with me for a little bit might remember our old school Designing Downtown booklet. Great resource, a little bit dated at the moment. And so what we want to do is the content is still relevant, but we need to update the look, the feel of it to match some of our other publications and materials. And because we have access to the State Historic Preservation Office, we also want to make sure that we are talking about preservation and not just design, but design in the context of preservation. And so that's one of the things we're going to be working with them on. And then some deep dive trainings. I will go ahead and tell you that, and I know some of y'all are not going to be happy with me about this, but we will not be, as of right this second, we do not have any in-person trainings planned for 2021. There's a lot of reasons for it and a lot of logistics behind it, but we wanted to be able to start working on stuff, to book speakers, to talk about content, and to really start putting stuff on the schedule. And we just don't know what the future holds. And we were in this position where we really couldn't think or plan more than a couple months out. And that's frustrating. And I think you guys know that frustration because you're living it every single day with us. But one of the other things is that we know that once we can travel again, we're not going to all be able to go everywhere all the time, right? Because for many different reasons. Budgets, right? Budgets are tighter, travel is trickier. People just don't have the money to put into it right now. And one of the things is that we're hoping that the Georgia Downtown Association will be able to do their conference in August up in Brasstown Valley. And the thing is, if we can do that conference in person, obviously we're here to support GDA and all their efforts, and we want to be there in person, and we would love to see everybody else there. So we want to make sure that if that event can move forward as it's planned, that everybody doesn't have to decide between, putting their money and time and resources into different things, that we want that to be the priority, and then to be able to offer some really affordable virtual trainings throughout the year and some deep dive topics. With that being said, the first one that we have coming up, it's going to be Friday, March 12th, and you guys may recognize Ben Muldrew there on the left-hand side. He's an incredible speaker and resource. He did a presentation at the Georgia Downtown Conference this past fallish, in 2020, and he is going to do a session for us called How to Package and Leverage the Value of Your Program to Your 5 Audiences. And one of the cool things about this is that we are actually doing this in conjunction with Missouri Main Street. So I will say that that's kind of going to be a theme that you're going to see with our virtual workshops and deep dives coming up, is that this is going to be us doing partnerships and things with other people that we wouldn't be able to do if we were just meeting in person, right? So we're going to be working with other states, showcasing other communities throughout the country, working with folks at the National Main Street Center. So we're really trying to take this idea of virtual training and kick it up a notch, right? Because we have the ability to access such a larger network. And so one of the things that I'm so excited about, again, is that Missouri Main Street folks are going to be with us on this training. If you go to our website, the registration is actually up as of last night. It's $50 to participate, and it's a whole day. It's going to start at 10 a.m. our time, Eastern time. It'll start at 9 a.m. Central time for Missouri folks, and it'll go all day. We are going to give you a decent break, though. We're going to give you an hour and a half lunch in the middle of the day so you can step away, do phone calls, emails, take a break, get up from your computer, and there's going to also be a lot of breakout sessions. And so one of the things that I love about that is, because Ben's going to do a lot of breakout sessions and do a lot of examples and stuff like that, is you'll have the opportunity to interact with not only managers from our state, from all over our state, but also managers from another state, and just be able to hear their experiences and to see what they do and how they do it. And the Missouri Main Street program is set up very differently than ours. Ours is part of a state agency. Theirs is a standalone nonprofit that works with state agencies there. So again, you're going to get a completely different vibe than what we have, but that's kind of one of the things that I love about it. They've never done a partnership like this before with another state. We've never done a partnership like this. They are actually running and managing the registration process. So when you go to register for it, it's going to actually take you to the Missouri Main Street Connection website. That's okay. Again, we are all partners in this process. But again, I'm just excited to be able to talk about something new and different, to talk with an expert about it, to learn about how do we tell our story, how do we tell it more effectively, and who are we telling it to, and then again to be able to do this in a unique way with another state. And again, that will be Friday, March 12th. These are some other trainings that we have throughout the rest of the year. In April, the National Main Street Conference is taking place. I'm not going to deep dive into that right now because I've got a slide at the end for that. In May, we're working to do a session on how to support existing businesses. So again, with COVID and just the world as it is, we are hearing from you continually that it's how do we move forward, how do we support our businesses at this time, what resources are out there. And so again, we're working with some other states in the Southeast region to bring you some really cool examples of other communities that are doing this really well. In June, we're going to be doing, we're working right now with the National Main Street Center and hoping to do a series on diversity, inclusivity, and equity. And then GDA conference in August, and then in September or October, we're still trying to nail this down. We want to do something on design and preservation, but with the focus on like the economics of it. So not just, design is good, preservation is good, but the economics of why this is important and how this impacts your community. Coffee and conversations. I talked a little bit in the beginning that, today's session is not like our Third Thursdays. And I want to take a beat and just talk about Third Thursdays in general. When we first started this idea of Third Thursdays, and we've got 4 or 5 under our belt now. Maybe we started them in October. I think that sounds right. We really wanted an opportunity once a month to come together as a team and as a state with our managers and our programs, and be able to just say, how are you doing? How's it going? What's going on? What are the challenges? What are you facing? What are you dealing with? Let's share good news. Let's, all reminisce together over the bad stuff, and really just be able to be there for each other as a community, because we're not able to be there in person together, and we're not doing all those trainings that we normally do, and we're not getting to go see each other at all the conferences. And so we wanted a way to bring that feeling that you get, that sense of camaraderie once a month, without it also being too overwhelming or burdensome. I will say that, you know, every state is doing something like this, but a little bit different. I know some states, they do weekly phone calls with their managers, but you also have to understand that some states, they're dealing with 10 accredited programs, not, 120 accredited programs. And so I think, it's important for us to stay connected, but this has to be a two-way street, right? So we can be there and we can put ourselves out there, but we need you guys also to meet us halfway. And Third Thursdays kind of got a little off track when we started planning them. Again, originally the idea was that we were just gonna like kind of show up and have some coffee, and it would be kind of a guided chitty chat, but it would be a dialogue. And then we ended up bringing in some really cool speakers. And then this past month, we had Elizabeth do a deep dive into our work plan stuff. And we've got some great feedback on that. But again, all this is to say that it got a little off course. And so we had to sit there as a team and say, okay, what is really the intention behind this, and how do we want this to work? And so what we've decided is that we're going to continue Third Thursdays. We want it to be more like it was in December, when it was just coffee and conversations with the team. Again, you can show up or not show up. It's up to you. We're not going to be doing any like trainings per se during this. Again, it's just going to be a facilitated conversation. It's an opportunity to network with other managers and to have access to our staff and be able to ask any question that you have, or share successes and things that are going on in your community, because again, we all love hearing from each other and learning from each other. But I did hear you, and I know that we've gotten some incredible feedback about Elizabeth doing that deep dive into the work plan thing. And so we are going to do some more of those. We've got one that we're going to do on Dropbox. We're going to do another one on monthly reporting, and we've got some other topics that we want to dive into, but those are not going to be Third Thursdays. Those will be one-off, topic-based trainings, deep dives into something that we are dealing with as an office. It's not something that we would bring in an external partner to talk about. It's something that our office would cover. So again, we're trying to, really find the lane and make sure that, we're sticking to that. So our next Third Thursday will be next week. I hope to see you there. I will also say that if you go to our Georgia Main Street website and go to the training section and look at our calendar, I have put the dates for the next 6 upcoming Third Thursdays, and there's a permanent link there. So because we use Zoom, we have our own meeting room, here my air quotes, and that link is permanent. And so every time we have a Third Thursday, you can just go to that link on our website, just click it and go to our virtual meeting room and be ready to go. And so, we've had challenges in the past with people being like, I can't find the link, and where's the link? And, we'll make sure that we continue to post it on our social media groups and stuff like that. But I wanted to put it somewhere where you guys could always access it, where you didn't have to remember, where to save it in your emails and stuff like that. And so again, we've got those dates down there for the next 6 months, and we've got that permanent link. Look, if this is one of those things that continues to grow, I will love it and be excited about it. If it's one of those things that fizzles out and like doesn't work, then we'll change and adapt. But in the meantime, since we can't be out there in all the communities right now, I think it's important for us to be able to stay connected, and for you to be able to have access to us and us to be able to interact with you. And I think this is, kind of the middle ground as a way to do that. So let's get into the fun stuff. We're going to talk about the 2020 Georgia Main Street Impact. Again, this is the data is coming from the community impact report that you guys submit to us every single month throughout the year. And we're going to talk about trends and stuff like that. So this past year in 2020, we had 1,219 buildings rehabilitated, equaling an $86 million investment. That investment compared to last year was pretty flat as far as almost dollar for dollar. 826 public improvement projects, equaling, again, an $86 million investment. Again, this number was pretty flat from the year before. A few less projects, but the investment was about the same. New housing units, 1,574 new housing units, equaling a $228 million private investment. Oh, yeah, there, make sure you can see that. And then 1,170 new businesses opening or expanding, creating 3,700, a little over 3,700 new jobs, for a total private public investment of $910 million. Guys, we almost hit $1 billion in 1 year of impact. $1 billion. I mean, 910 million. That's incredible. And here's the thing that you need to know about why this is such a big deal. Because we are almost $250,000 more than last year for total private public investment. Almost $250,000 more. It's insane. When I saw the numbers this year, I was like, that can't be right. I mean, we have just gone up way too much. Somebody submitted too many zeros somewhere, or something's happening. Let me go back and look at all this. And so when I dug through the data, this is what I saw. 2020 was hands down our best, most impactful year on record ever, with a 36% growth overall. And so again, I kept telling you, or I've been telling you, one of the things I was like, this just can't be right. Where is it coming from? Where is this growth coming from? And it came from 3 areas: the housing market, and developing new housing downtown, new construction, and I'm blanking right now. Real estate investment. So let's start with the housing market. That is where we saw the largest growth. You saw there that the number was 1,500 new housing units, and that goes from apartments to townhomes to single-family homes, lofts, condos, and everything in between. We had a 245% growth since 2019 in the number of housing units. So in 1 year, 245% growth. Again, I did the math like 5 times because I was like, this can't be right. No, it's right. I mean, it's incredible. And an 85% growth in the investment of housing for a total of $228 million. This is our largest investment in downtown housing in a single year on record to date. Period. Stop sentence. Emphasis right there. Ever. This is the largest, most impactful year ever. And the second largest year was like 2016, and it was like 1,200 units that year. And the financial impact wasn't nearly what it is here. So a huge amount of housing investment is happening in our downtowns, which is incredible. Also, we saw exponential growth in real estate investment and new construction. And I will say that I remember talking to Josh Rogers from Newtown, Macon. This is back in the summer of last year. Again, everybody's still like, what's happening? What's this COVID thing? Where are we going in the world? And I remember talking to Josh and saying, how's everything doing? He was working with us on our DDA 101 stuff, and he said, it's good. We've lost a couple businesses, unfortunately, but the real estate market is insane right now. And I was like, what? And he said, yeah, people are just buying anything they can get their hands on. And I thought that was just so crazy. And I was like, what is that about? And he's like, well, the rate, right now is so low, and people who have money, who know that they can sit on property, are doing it because they know that, interest rates will go back up in the future, that the world will open again in the future, and they want to be ready for that kind of investment. And so the more people I talked to across the state, I just kind of kept asking the same thing. And again, that story kept popping up over and over and over, that properties were selling like hotcakes. And that number truly translates, just that conversation that I had with Josh translates into what we saw. Our real estate investment numbers grew by 55% in 1 year. So doubled in, basically doubled in a year, with a total impact of $435 million. $435 million. I mean, it's insane how much real estate people were investing in. And then again, a 26% growth in new construction with a total impact of $48 million. Again, incredible. And what I will say is that this is the word to the wise for the managers. Couple things. One is, if people are investing in that much real estate, at some point they're going to want to develop it, renovate it, get it ready for housing or some kind of investment, or turn it over, and make it commercial or bring it up to code. So be ready for that. Think of the incentives, be prepared to offer those incentives, be ready to have those conversations when people are ready to actually move forward with it. So, the industry has spoken and said downtown is important and we are going to make this investment here. We got to be ready for when they're prepared to actually move forward and doing something with that investment. The other thing I will say, our numbers are so incredible, and it is kind of at odds with how 2020 felt, because I think, I would hope that, you all are kind of like me, and at the end of the year, we were like, oh, thank God it's done. Let's hope 2021 is better. And then when I was going to be collecting all this information and putting it together, I was really kind of afraid to look at it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is not going to be good. And then I looked at the numbers and I was like, I'm sorry, what? This is literally our best year ever. How is this possible? And it's just been an incredible process to kind of navigate, because this is, complex and different. But one of the things that I did go back and look at is our historical trends. Again, we've been collecting data since 1980, when our program was first founded, and we've been collecting data digitally since 2004. And one of the things that I did go back and look at was the impact of the Great Recession that happened in 2008. And I wanted to be able to look at our numbers then and see what that looked like compared to now, and kind of what that impact was. And what I will say is that when we had the housing bubble bust in 2008 and we had the recession happen, 2008 was a good year for us. Comparatively, we were all moving up. We were in the right direction. It was the best year at that time on record. 2009 was a good year. It kind of was flat. There wasn't a ton of growth, but it was a good year. And then in 2010, it fell off a cliff. Our numbers dropped. I mean, I'm serious. It's like, everything just hit, the other shoe fell, and downtown started feeling the impact, and our numbers bottomed out in 2010 and 2011. And so what I want to tell you is that while, looking at these numbers, it's, apparent that 2020 was financially a good year for some, that we need to be prepared for the other shoe to drop. And that means making sure you have reserves in the bank, making sure that you're thinking about not just where your program's at right now, but 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years in the future, and being prepared for that rainy day. And, again, being prepared for that other shoe to drop. I don't know what 2021 holds for us. I don't know what 2022 holds for us, but I like to think that nature has a way of kind of correcting itself. And, when we have big gains, then sometimes we have big losses as well. And so I just want to put that on everybody's radar, that we need to be prepared for whatever contingencies are out there and coming, and knowing that as much as we're trying to will it into existence, that we may be dealing with the world we're in right now and the situation that we're in, the pandemic, longer than we want to be. And we have to be prepared for that. So we have to be thinking, what's the end game? What's the long-term impact going to be? And just really be prepared for that. I don't want to, I'm excited about the numbers. It's incredible. But we also have to realize that there's plenty of people that did not have a good year, that did close. And, with that being said, I really want to kind of lead us into, like, what was the impact of COVID? What happened with our communities? What did that look like? So we can get, kind of the other side of it, the other perspective. So the COVID impact for our Georgia programs was that 4,600 businesses temporarily closed in 2020, and that impacted 22,000 jobs. So 22,000 people that have businesses in downtowns and that are, pillars in our community and people we rely on for food and services and all that kind of stuff were temporarily closed and impacted. The good news is that less than 10% of those businesses that temporarily closed actually closed for good. But we also saw 3,500 events canceled or rescheduled, and that resulted in an estimated $2.6 million impact. So again, imagine what that impact could have been. We have a $910 million impact this year. Imagine what that could have been if our event numbers were up, if our volunteer hours were up, if that was a normal year. Other things. Main Street shifted from a world where we have festivals and events all the time to a virtual world. And we had 574 virtual events held throughout the state, which is pretty cool. Other things to note, 15% of all our managers are still working virtually, including, this number doesn't include our team, but again, our team. And I would say the majority of partners that I work with, whether it's GMA or National Main Street Center, and people from, all over the country and people that we're talking to regularly, they're all still remote as well. So keep that in mind. And 41% of our programs say that while their city hall is open, or 41% say City Hall is open and operating as normal, but 39%, so almost, the other amount of it, say city staff are in the office, but access is limited or restricted to appointment only or limited to the public to, again, help keep exposure down. And I will say that's one of the things that's been the most challenging probably that you guys have been dealing with. It's we're open, we're closed. We're open, we're closed. We're open, COVID scare, we're closed again. And I've heard that story continually from managers throughout the state, and also, businesses are in the same situation. We're open, we have someone who comes down with COVID, we're closed. So again, it's something we're all trying to work through, and I just want people to be cognizant of that because the reality is, depending where you are in the state, depends on the challenges that you may have or may be facing. There's some places, if you go in the state, that it's like nothing's ever happened and everything's wide open and nobody wears a mask. And then there's other places where everything's, very, very different. And so we just have to be cognizant that there is this duality that exists. 68% of our programs say that they experienced minor setbacks because of the pandemic. Again, with 15% saying they have been majorly impacted. And so that impact can be towards businesses, financially, programmatically. But I would say looking at that, everybody's been impacted some way. There was very few people who were like, hey, did something happen last year? 78% of the community say they are slowly seeing a rise in foot traffic and business activity, but we're not back to normal. Things are just still not normal yet. And then the strong majority identified that COVID-related issues will be their biggest challenge in 2021. So if you do remember, part of the survey was like, hey, what do you think, give me your 3 biggest challenges that you see happening, for 2021. And overwhelmingly, COVID was the top concern of everybody, and then there's always like inconsistent store hours and some things like that. But it was such an overwhelming difference between all the categories that really this is the one that stood out. And we know that COVID related issues is such a broad term and definition, but the reality is sometimes we're not even sure what these issues are until they're brought up and brought to our attention. But one of the things that I've said over and over, and I believe to be true, is that Main Streets are resilient, and that our downtown areas that have Main Street programs and Main Street directors in place will bounce back quicker and better and stronger than communities that don't have that support and that network in place. And we've seen that over and over again, and I think we'll continue to see that because while we may not have all the answers, while nobody is perfect, while no system is perfect, we do have a system and we do have support and we do have an approach. And as long as we keep working that approach, we have a framework for success that we know will help us be successful in the future. So let's dive into some more of the good stuff. The 2021 Manager Survey. What did we learn? And y'all, I love looking at the Manager Survey results because I love being able to see the trends. That for me is like one of the most exciting things. So average manager salary, 54,372. Now this is for all our programs. So affiliate, classic and gems, everybody together. And I will tell you that number is like incredible because I remember it was like maybe 8 years ago when we started adding something to the annual assessment where you would get a point if you met the base salary. The base salary at that time was like 45.5, and then we did an increase 3 years ago to like 47.5. And now this is where it's at. And for our classic Main Street managers, if you're a classic Main Street city, the average salary is 57,613. That number has risen 32% over the past 5 years. And I like to think it's because we are reinforcing the fact that Main Street managers are economic developers. We're not party planners, we're not people who are just putting on festivals. We are people who are helping support our communities through economic development initiatives. And so we should be treated as economic developers. And that is reflected in this increase in salary. And I will say that I looked it up. The average salary for an economic developer nationwide is $75,671. So we still have a little bit of a ways to go to close that gap. But I am very excited to see where this number is at. I am going to tell you that for our next annual assessment document that will span the next 3 years assessment cycle, we will be upping that base salary number because, again, rising tides raises all ships. We know that we're economic developers. We need to be taken seriously as economic developers. And I can see that the way we talk about ourselves, the way we treat ourselves, this is starting to change, and that's great. Again, average GEMS manager salary a little bit higher, $60,459. And I will tell you that we always see that trend that there always tends to be in both salary and operating budget higher investment in GEMS communities. And again, this is, I know you're just seeing like the picture, but this is a picture of the pie chart for when I asked people last year, did they get a raise? And 63% said yes, which is again contributing to why that number is increasing year on end. And then average Main Street budget, $238,000. This is a 7% increase since 2019, which is great because, again, we want to see that Main Street budget continue to grow and have more support. Average GEMS budget, again, it's going to be a little bit higher, $319,000. Now, these budgets are including salaries as well. We asked this question in the survey since January 2020, the financial support for our Main Street program has, and you can see the answers here, 40% decreased, 41%-ish remained the same, and a small 20% increased. And so, I look at this and I think this isn't bad. Considering 2020, this isn't bad. Always, again, to see the decrease that much is a little bit worrisome. But when you look at the majority of it remain the same or increased, that's us still staying the right side up. For those who saw an increase in financial support, this is the breakdown. So majority of the increase in financial support came from public funding versus private funding, and then some people indicated both private and public funding. when people had a decrease, this is where the decrease was. So the decrease tended to be kind of equal, both public and private, with more people indicating if it was one or the other, public funding decreasing a little bit. And I will say too that we have seen, and this will be highlighted in a second, more downtown development authorities that are becoming independent and trying to kind of be connected with the city, but stand on their own two legs. And sometimes you got to take a little bit of a financial hit before you can grow. And we've kind of seen that trend as well. And then during the 2021 calendar year, we expect financial support for our Main Street program too. Majority of the folks said remain the same, and about 30% said increase, with a small percent saying decrease. And so this right here, this is the good stuff, to be able to see that the majority of people expect that they're, especially coming up with new fiscal years and stuff like that, that their financial support will remain the same or increase. That's great news. 22% of our managers have been here 2 years or less, and that feels like a lot still when you think about our programs overall. But one of the things I want to tell you is that this is actually a 21% decrease over the past 3 years. So 3 years ago, that number was at 43% of our managers have been here 2 years or less. And let me tell you, it felt like it too, because we had so much turnover. And some of that was just the economy, that people were going and getting jobs other places. In other situations, it was that maybe it just wasn't the right fit, the right person in the right community, but we were having a lot of turnover. And so one of the things that we've done as an office is try to develop more of a support system for new managers so that they feel supported in what they're doing. And also our introduction of leadership development training has, I hope, been helpful in some cases. And what we're starting to see too is that when we have turnover and managers leave, it's not because they're leaving to go to another community or leaving the city, it's that they're moving up in positions. So, maybe they were the Main Street manager, now they're the community development director or economic development director. Now they maybe oversee the Main Street manager and are still connected to that. We have several situations throughout the state where people have moved up into assistant city manager positions and eventually city manager positions. And that's incredible, because what we're doing is building a framework for success, not just with the Main Street program, but with the entire city, because you have people who embrace the Main Street approach and the philosophies of what we do and how we come together as a community in a downtown, that are now leading the city and taking that 4-point approach and making it something that we're using across all offices, all programs, all things in the city, which is really kind of cool. 82% of our managers are city employees. This number surprisingly has decreased by 4% over the past 3 years. And I was really curious as to why, because I was like, I would think that number would be increasing, not decreasing. And so I wanted to know where the shift was. And the shift actually was from people who were city employees moving to being direct employees of the Downtown Development Authority. So that to me makes sense, and you'll see why in the next slide. With 95% of all our managers receiving some kind of benefits in their position, whether that's health insurance, vacation, sick leave, that kind of stuff. 52% of the managers have support staff. This has increased by 12% over the past 5 years. So now the majority of our managers have some kind of support staff, and the numbers are split. So it's almost right down the middle as far as who has full-time support staff and who has part-time support staff. It's about half and half for those who do have some kind of support staff. But that's incredible, because again, we keep talking about one person can't do it all, right? we need to have a system in place that supports the manager. And one of the things that Elizabeth pointed out to us the other day in a phone call we had with a community is that if you're thinking about it, in the future, I want to be gems considered, and this is my goal. There's obviously some trends and things that we see at that, level, but one of the things is the support system. We have so many dynamic duos that exist in our GEMS levels. If we think about Rachel and Ellen down in Valdosta, if we think about Andy and Megan in Rome, if we think about Kendrick and Kale in Greensboro, if we think about Elena and Alan down in Statesboro, that a lot of our GEMS communities, it's very easy to see that there's not one person who's trying to do it all, that there is a support system in place, even if they don't have support staff, but there's this kind of dynamic where it's not just one person trying to do it all, that there's strong advocates for them and with them, supporting them through this process. 61% of all Main Street boards serve a dual purpose. Again, this is where I was kind of going with, like, we've seen that change with downtown development authorities and more people being contract employees of the DDAs. So 61%, again, serving that dual purpose. This has changed by 15% over the past 5 years. So we've seen a major shift from Main Street programs just being a Main Street only board to being a board that does multiple things. And this is the breakdown of it. 83% of those boards that are a Main Street board are also a Downtown Development Authority board, which is incredible. If you have a Downtown Development Authority and a Main Street program, if they're not working together, oh my goodness, call us and let's see how we can get them working together. Because honestly, there's no two better kind of organizations that align than Downtown Development Authorities and Main Streets. And what I like to tell people is that a Downtown Development Authority is an organization and Main Street is an approach. So you can use your Downtown Development Authority to serve as your Main Street board, utilizing that Main Street approach. And that's incredible. And so that number has continued to grow over the years, which is why we've seen that shift between people just being employees of the city to people actually being employees of the Downtown Development Authority itself. And last but not least, we love you guys. We love our managers. We appreciate you. I just want to take a moment to say that we have some of the most incredible programs in the country, and that I would hold any of our programs up against any program anywhere out there any day of the week and know that we are going to kick their butt, not only just in impact, but in how we do what we do. We really do have some exceptional programs and managers, and I love that we're in this together, that we're all about sharing ideas and information, about learning from each other, building upon each other, and being able to take ideas and figure out a way to make it work in our community. And I can't tell you enough that the team that we have, we love doing what we do because we enjoy working with you guys. We enjoy being able to help and support you. And if there's anything we can do for you, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. I know that we don't get to, reach out to everybody directly as much as we like, but that doesn't mean that we don't want to hear from you. We love being able to take time and just hear how you're doing. How's it going? What's going on with you? And I promise that we will try to be a little bit better about reaching out to you guys in 2021. But again, we're here for you. If you just want to share, if you have a victory and you're like, I just really want to tell someone because this is so awesome and I just want to share this news, give us a call, shoot us an email, let us know, shoot us a text. We'd love to hear from you. And I want to just say thank you for all that you guys are doing. 2020 could have been the most awful year ever. And we didn't lose any programs because of COVID. We still have all our Main Street programs in place that want to be in place with us, and that's just incredible. I think that's just a testament to the system that we have, that the support that we have, the brand of what Main Street is, and I'm just excited that I get to do this every day with you guys. And then congratulations to the City of Albany. Woohoo! They are our newest Classic Main Street designated city. They were designated in the fall of 2020. Albany has been working for the past 2 years, I want to say, Lucretia, to get up to that classic Main Street status. They've worked really, really hard. Their entire board is committed to this. This is, again, this has been a little bit different because, normally we would do an in-person presentation with them and go through the whole shebang, and we had to do everything virtually in 2020. But I would say they really showed up and really showed how it can be done, and have really inspired us and did an incredible presentation, had such amazing support and turnout from the board and city representation as well. It was so easy to see why they're an easy new classic Main Street designated city, a great fit. If y'all know Lucretia Gaskins, she's what we refer to as the queen of all things grants and money related. She was formerly with the city of Tifton and then moved to be the DDA director with the city of Albany a few years ago. And one of the first things she did when she went there was reach out to us and say, okay guys, Albany is not part of the Main Street network. How do we do this? And was very patient as we kind of worked with her through that process. We just couldn't be more excited to have them as our newest Main Street city. And I will tell you that we will have some new GEMS community announcements coming up this year, as well as some new Main Street communities that again will be sitting for us and doing some virtual presentations. So I'm hoping in the next couple of months to have some more announcements for classic communities as well as GEMS, and I'm really excited about that. So congratulations again, Albany. You guys definitely worked hard and deserve that honor. And then last but not least, Main Street Now conference. I wanted to let y'all know that Main Street registration registration is now open for the Main Street Now conference. If you guys were one of those managers that submitted our salary survey to us within that first week, you qualified to receive a special scholarship code to the conference, which would take your price from $99 to $49.50. And so that's just, again, a way of us saying thank you and encouraging people to participate. This is the first virtual conference they're doing, and I will tell you they're planning on doing it in person in 2022. But to be able to go to and participate in a national Main Street conference, to be able to see the content, to be able to interact with other folks from other cities and hear what they're doing and learning from them, to be able to do that for $100, let alone $50, is pretty incredible. So last night I sent out the registration link as well as the special discount code. If you believe you should have received it and you didn't receive it for some reason, please reach out to me and I can make sure that we get it to you, that didn't go to spam or something like that. But again, this is coming up. This event's coming up in April. I think it's the 12th through the 14th. Registration is now open and early bird rates close on March 23rd. So don't wait too long to take advantage of that. And that's it, guys. I know it's a long presentation. I appreciate your patience, but lots of good information to cover, and I'm excited to see what 2021 holds for us. So thank you.